Welcome to a new episode of Final Call Cover Story. Welcome to a new episode of Final Call Cover Story.
Thank you, Brother Richard. Of course, we're right back here again. Inshallah, this will be our weekly program that we are able to kind of talk about the backstory behind the latest edition of the Final Call. So, of course, last week we kind of briefly discussed I think we kind of left out on you on your way to Detroit.
Absolutely.
And of course, today, once again, the latest edition of the Final Call is out. It's the volume 37, number 49, with the date September 11th. So can you just kind of give us a backstory? Why, once again, long live the Queen?
I think that, first of all, assalamu alaikum and greetings. Of course, earlier this month we had the passing of, actually in August, the passing of Aretha Franklin. And so we went to Detroit for what was essentially almost a week of remembrances, tributes, and this kind of thing to our dear sister. So her funeral was August 31st. Incredible. I think the best, the brightest, and the boldest of Black America were actually there at Greater Grace Temple in Detroit. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was there on stage. He didn't speak, but his presence spoke volumes. So it was an incredible moment to have so many people assembled in one place. And not only did they pay homage to Aretha Franklin for her great artistry, but her activism, her support for Black movements, her taking care of poor people, her feeding homeless people, her taking care of clergy, pastors, and those who were involved in the struggle. And then there were calls for these same people to reconvene at a later date to actually deal with the struggle of our people. So hers was a life well lived. We were honored to be there. And of course, we distributed 90,000 copies, gift copies, 90,000 of the Final Call that were given away by Minister Farrakhan as a gift. And he said that while he did not speak, he didn't feel the need to speak. He did not come to speak. He did not ask to speak. He did not even ask to be seated on the dais, but great honor was given to him. And he said in the Final Call, and you can get that statement at finalcall.com, 90,000 people or more will be able to hear his words and his expressions of love for Sister Aretha Franklin. So it was really a great, great, great experience.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So
and coming out of that, we know her funeral alone was about 9 hours. So coming out of that, to us, it made sense to again feature that dynamic experience and all of these different expressions in this week's edition of the Final Call.
Yes, sir. So the title, Long Live the Queen. Can you just kind of get into that? I know there's probably a few that crossed your mind and was suggested.
We know Aretha as the Queen of Soul. But not only music, there was a soulfulness to her artistry. There was a soulfulness to the way that she lived her life. And she never traded fame. She never traded acceptance. She never traded crossing over. And she never traded crossing over in exchange for rejecting her people. So despite all her fame, all her fortune, she lived a couple other places, but she lived in Detroit. And I think one of the telling things about her, two things. One, in the 70s when Angela Davis she was jailed and she was awaiting extradition to California. Ms. Franklin said, I will pay her bond, whether it was $100,000 or $250,000. And she said, Aretha speaking, I have the money, Black people gave it to me, and I'm going to use it to help this sister because she is about helping our people. In 1972, the police raided our mosque in New York City. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was the minister of Muhammad Mosque number 7 in Harlem. Very treacherous, tense time. Not a time when Black Muslims were accepted and seen as good people because of the slander, the lies, and the attacks by the enemy. So the police raided the mosque, and there was some serious activity. Aretha Franklin happened to be in the area. This is in 1972. Saw on TV about the assault on the mosque, came to the mosque unannounced, met with the minister, and publicly expressed her support for the Muslims, and then said Reverend Jackson would be there the next day, and he was. So this was a great sister, and so that soul that we talk about not only emanated in her music, which reflected our struggle, our triumph, our resistance. You found all of that wrapped up in her person, her life, and in her musical gifts, which the minister called a divine gift, and a gift that came through us to the entire world.
Thank you. So beautiful, beautiful. Now, so of course we know, and I haven't had a chance to read the whole paper. I kind of looked through it. So can you kind of give us some other highlights? What should people be expecting to see in this latest edition?
Well,
of course,
if you want the real deal behind what happened in Detroit, you need to get the final call to find out, was Omarosa there? Yeah, that Omarosa. I'm not going to say that. Was she there? Did she meet with the minister? Did she have dinner with him? Did Bill Clinton shake hands with the minister, and what does that mean? Did Ariana Grande shake hands with the minister? What does that mean? Did former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder take a picture with Minister Farrakhan? You should look for that, and you should look for a very spirited defense from us, as the enemies in these Jewish groups and white folks in general have attacked our minister. They are now trying to re-slander him again. So we have mounted a very strident defense in our editorial, unmasking these demons and saying to them, how dare you ask us any question about the minister being anywhere? The question is, why haven't we separated from you after the evil that we suffer daily, have suffered? You don't care for us. You want us to go silently to our deaths without uttering a word, or our blood spilling on the well-pressed uniforms or the well-shined shoes of your police department. You got to see the pictures of the FOI and the MGT in the street distributing those 90,000 copies of the final call. You got to see the pictures of the different memorials throughout the day. You got to see the tributes that the people gave to our dear sister. Detroit laid it out, and you can see it in the final call.
Thank you. So, of course, there's a few things that you mentioned in the discussion, and I don't know how much more you can go into, but we'll just even let's talk about the 90,000 papers. I know it was originally 40,000, right, or was it 50,000?
No, originally it was 10,000.
Oh, wow.
That was the first point of discussion.
Okay.
So we went to discussion with the minister first. It was his idea about it. 10,000, no, 50,000. We got to Detroit. The brothers and sisters did such a magnificent job of distributing the newspaper, because for 2 days, Aretha Franklin's remains lie in state at the Charles Wright Museum of African American History in Detroit. There were 40,000 papers distributed in about 16 hours.
Wow.
So then we were left with 10,000. We had to hold them. We literally reprinted more papers. So we went to 75,000. We said, well, let's go to 90,000. And so we actually, this is inside scoop, we actually left about 7,500 papers in Chicago. Our printers in Chicago, the paper was trucked to Detroit. So that means we had to go back, get those papers, and bring them. So the brothers worked, but I'm saying worked with joy. So by Saturday at about 1:30 a.m. in Detroit, the last 2 editions of the final call were handed out. And I got a message from a sister that I went to school with at Morgan State years ago, who lives in Maryland. And she sent me a picture and says, guess what my mother got in Detroit? Then there was another sister who commented on Facebook. A Muslim sister had embraced her with so much love. She was like, wow, I saw that, we posted a picture. She said, that sister was so wonderful. Tell her thank you. This sister was from New Orleans. So this mighty truth, this mighty gesture, this gift that contained the words of the minister speaking directly about Sister Aretha Franklin, has now gone to at least 90,000 people. And if that paper is passed on to others, that's going to be great. But if you got that edition, you would have to get this one. It's like twins. It's like a match set. So you got to get both. So
Yes,
see
sir.
the mighty FOI in your city and make sure you get your copy. And don't just get one. This is historic. It will never happen again. You better get it right away.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, of course, a beautiful trip. I know even I got an opportunity to talk to you when you were leaving out. Are there any, you mentioned several things that we can find right there in the Final Call paper. Is there a particular event that stands out in your mind that you were privy to that, you know, you may want to share with the audience?
Well, there are a couple things, and this will mean a lot to the Muslims. But our dear captain in Detroit was given his holy name by a minister. He is now Brother Sharif Muhammad. A couple things stood out to me. One was the minister's dignified presence that typifies his love, because there was been a tribute concert that Thursday before her funeral that Friday. 6,000 tickets for that concert were distributed literally in minutes. The minister went and sat in the audience. He was asked by those organizing and heading that concert if he wanted to speak. They asked him to speak to 6,000 people. He said to them, "Thank you, but I'm not here for that. I just wanted to be among the mourners and to show my love and respect for the family." Now you're going to read that in the Final Call. A couple things struck me. Our sister Fantasia taking off her shoes before she sang. That's a black moment. That's a black moment, man. That's an embrace of black culture. That is us expressing ourselves. And then the Reverend Dr. Intellectual Michael Eric Dyson. His remarks about bathing in blackness and not being afraid of who we are. Those are two of the things that really, really struck me personally.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we close out, of course, this is something that we intend on trying to do on a weekly basis, and we want to hear from our audience. Are there things that they would like to hear? Are there things that they're interested in we have right now sitting right in front of us, the editor of the greatest newspaper in the world. Another one just popped up. I saw the picture on online with you and the general manager of the Final Call,
Yes.
Brother Fontaine Muhammad. And the minister apparently asked you to his suite, and so can you share how that came about?
This was Saturday after he spoke, and Brother Fontaine, our general manager, who led the effort to distribute these newspapers, and Brother Don Enoch Muhammad of the E-Team was right there. So the minister asked both of us to come and share some moments with him, and it was really beautiful and incredible because this man has really devoted himself to us. And so we have to understand that to help a man, you have to do that which he wants done, and you have to do it in the manner that he approves of.
Yes, sir.
So that picture was historic. It was really incredible. He talked about, and this is another inside scoop, especially for the Muslims, read Surah 50 in the Holy Quran, Surah 75 in the Holy Quran, and Surah 90 in the Holy Quran. There's something in there for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you, thank you. We're going to start right there. Are there any other things before we close out?
I just want to say, support the mighty FOI. These brothers that are out in the street, it is only through their efforts that we're able to survive. We work hard for you. They work hard for you. Support institutions that support you. And we're at the foodie spot here in Chicago, 7350 South Stony Island.
There you are, right here at the foodie spot with the editor of the Final Call newspaper. And of course, not only can you get the paper from supporting the FOI in the communities and the streets where you are, but also you have the opportunity to subscribe to the digital edition of the Final Call. So please visit finalcall.com or digital. Is it digital.finalcall.com?
Go to finalcall.com,
Go to finalcall.com.
click on that tab,
Yes,
and
sir.
follow at Louis Farrakhan on Twitter.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Until next time. Assalamu alaikum.
please explore the collective9.org website and subscribe to the newsletter. Explore the site and make sure you check out Web TV.